Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing quite a detailed look at the weather for the weekend and a little bit into next week and the long range as well. And that's because things are turning a lot more interesting now. The temperatures are rising, possibly the hottest day of the year so far on the weekend, and at the same time there could be some pretty intense thunderstorms, especially across parts of England during the weekend. So we'll start off by kind of doing a quick overview of the general situation. You can see this is the kind of surface pressure chart for today. This is on pivotalweather.com, by the way, if you want to check yourself after the video. But you can see, let me change this pen to a black color. You can see we've got this big low pressure system out to our southwest, and that is Storm Oscar, named by the Spanish Meteorological Service. And then you can see we've got this big high pressure to our north, which has been keeping things pretty dry. However, you can see we've got that easterly. And by the way, guys, if you don't know these charts, the black lines are the isobars, and then the wind flows along the isobars, and it flows clockwise around high pressure and then anti-clockwise around low pressure. But you can see we've been having an easterly wind, which means the temperatures have been highest in the west in the past kind of week or so, but it has been quite dry. But you can see, if I move this through, by the time it's Thursday, you notice the change is already happening, because that low Storm Oscar is starting to move even more to the northeast. That high pressure is starting to retreat to the northeast, and that easterly is changing from kind of an easterly to more of a southeasterly, and even kind of more of a southeasterly. So you can see that's a pattern change. And then by Friday, you can see very different kind of, or not very different, but pretty different situation than the last couple of weeks, because we've got our low pressure out with our kind of southeasterly winds, and then our high pressure to the north, so generally much warmer. So that's kind of the synoptic situation by Friday, and then into the weekend things turn kind of more slack. The winds are lighter but very unstable, and you can even start to see we're kind of starting to draw up a bit more of a southerly wind there than a southeasterly, so potentially turning warmer on the weekend. And then this is almost kind of a thunderstorm kind of setup. You can see we've got slightly low pressure out there and warm kind of air mass, so things turning unstable towards the weekend. So that's kind of the quick overview. And if I start off kind of doing a day-by-day temperature look, I'll use the UKV model from netweather.tv. You can see the links there or up there. But you can see starting off on Wednesday, you can see the this is today. I don't know why I said starting off, but so you can see today pretty warm day across parts of the south of England, and then tomorrow similar thing, but the temperatures are already starting to rise, especially across parts of Southwest Ireland. As you can see there, 24 degrees possible, 23 to 24 across the south coast and southwest tomorrow. And then Friday is the day where things start to properly heat up. You can see mid 20s widely across parts of South Wales and southern England, and possibly the warmest day of the year already by Friday. You can see 27, 28 shown in there somewhere in kind of southwest England. So generally pretty warm day across the south on Friday, around 25, 26 in London. However, things still staying cool because we still have those kind of easterly winds blowing the cloud on from the North Sea. So still cool in the east, but further south and southwest getting warmer. And if I show you that change in air mass, this will start to make sense a bit more. And so this chart is the temperatures at 850 HPA, which is basically a fancy way of saying 1.5 kilometers. And the yellow and orange colors kind of show warm air masses and warm temperatures. Even though it's kind of 10 degrees, it will be higher at the surface. And you can see there's Storm Oscar kind of spinning out to the southwest of the UK. And you can see by Friday, those warmer yellow colours are starting to show, which explains why it gets a lot warmer on Friday with that model. And then you can see by Saturday, this is lunchtime. As you can see, the time is in the top right of the screen there. By lunchtime, this is 12 o'clock. We've got those yellow colours across almost all of the UK and kind of parts of Ireland as well. And you can even see hints of those orange colours starting to show, so potentially getting pretty warm or even hot, depending on your definition for hot. But you can see, and then that kind of remains over the UK during Sunday, but kind of moving more towards the east, and then during Monday and into next week, those temperatures start to decrease a little bit. But if I show you the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, now that we know what's kind of happening with the air mass, you can see that it makes sense now that Saturday is forecast to be very warm, potentially 30 to 31 degrees across parts of eastern England. Personally, I don't quite buy a 31 degrees, but in my opinion, 29 to 30 degrees is definitely possible across parts of eastern England during Saturday afternoon. So the hottest day of the year, or warmest day of the year, likely. And then actually kind of cooler across parts of the west and southwest, especially across parts of Southern Ireland, 15 degrees, 16 degrees there. It's not going to feel like much, but most of the UK and across parts of kind of, as you can see, northwest England and northwest Scotland as well, very warm. And then to kind of eastern and southern England, you can see mid to high 20s widely. And then pretty much a repeat of that on Sunday. You can see there pretty widely mid to high 20s across kind of southern England and into parts of kind of Scotland as well. You can see northern Scotland potentially 23, 24, with kind of varies on the topography and kind of the wind flow. But you can see another warm day coming on Sunday. Don't take these temperatures too exactly. This is kind of just a general view, and you can maybe notice a few kind of blobs of lower temperatures, and that will be because of thunderstorms, and that's hard to predict. So there is kind of uncertainty, but we do know that generally across parts of England and also Ireland, it's going to be very warm during Saturday and Sunday, and likely into Monday as well, though uncertainty does tend to increase a bit on Monday, as I'll show you now. So these are the ensembles, the Met Office ensembles for temperature, and each of these different kind of small pictures is a different possible scenario for the temperature forecast. And the reason we look at lots of different ones is because it's kind of easy to get an overall view of what's going to happen, rather than if we just look at one like this. Yeah, we can get kind of an idea, but it might be wrong, and the forecast might be completely wrong if we just look at one thing only. So we look at more things to kind of get a better idea, an average if you like. And you can start off, I'll show you by Monday at 12 o'clock, and you can see the uncertainty starts to really increase on Monday, because you've got some of these possible scenarios showing 25, 26. By the way, you can roughly add a couple of degrees to this kind of picture because it is quite low resolution. So this is showing what would be kind of mid to high 20s, same here. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got some which is showing kind of just the low 20s, even teens. So the temperature forecast is kind of starting to become more uncertain during Monday, and that uncertainty actually increases into Tuesday as the kind of forecast range goes on. Again, you've got the potential for mid to high 20s, maybe even low 30s across Monday and Tuesday, but it's still, there's uncertainty is quite high, and so we're probably going to have to wait a couple more days until the weekend to get a better idea of what those temperatures are going to be like. And so it's unlikely to be cold, as you can see here. None of those are showing anything cold, but there is kind of a difference between low 20s and mid to high 20s. So that's kind of what I'm just alerting you for the temperature for next week. Still a bit of an uncertainty. So now we've got the temperatures out of the way, we can look at thunderstorms. That's personally what I find more interesting and exciting. So we're looking at in fairly good detail, and we'll start off by showing you the UKV run right here. So again, bear in mind, like I said, looking at just one kind of forecast possibility is not great for building an overall forecast. So kind of take this with a grain of salt, if you like, especially since thunderstorms are really hard to forecast exactly where they will be. But just to give you a general idea of something that may happen on Saturday, just imagine we've got kind of very warm, moist air in place, and that leads to kind of instability. And so you can see thunderstorms are forecast initially across parts of Southeast Ireland, and then moving north, and you can see initiation right there across parts of eastern England. And then moving that forward, you can see in this particular scenario, by Saturday afternoon, you can see we've got some pretty intense thunderstorms across parts of southern central England and the Midlands, and then those move to the northwest into parts of northwest England by the evening. So this is one possible solution for Saturday. I'll get into more detail in a bit. And then if I show you the same for Sunday, you can see this model is showing again widespread thunderstorms across parts of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and then kind of in a zone running all the way down from northern Scotland into parts of central southern England and the Midlands. So thunderstorms are definitely possible during the weekend because the air is so unstable. However, like I said, there is a lot of uncertainty, so using the same thing that I just showed you for the temperature, we can use that for the storms. And so each of these different pictures is showing a different possible scenario for storms on Saturday, and I'll show you Sunday in a bit. But you can see here, each of these little kind of coloured dots is showing where storms may be, and there is some kind of differences between the different scenarios or exactly where they will be. For example, some show them across the Midlands, some show them across parts of Wales, some show them closer to the south coast. But there is a general sense there that we kind of see generally kind of a zone from the south coast through the Midlands especially, and into parts of northwest Wales. There is quite a lot of these colours kind of showing up. And to kind of add on to that, this is the ensembles for the GFS, and this is showing the forecast instability of the ensembles, and you can see the average is there for there to be fairly high values of instability through kind of that zone of kind of central southern England extending into parts of Wales. And because of that, I've actually issued a kind of early, if you like, thunderstorm forecast through this zone, slightly zoomed in version here, and basically anywhere within this zone, you're not guaranteed to see a thunderstorm, but this kind of general area is the most likely, what I think the most likely area currently is for thunderstorms. And kind of vice versa, you may see a thunderstorm on Saturday and be outside this area. It's kind of just a broad brush, if you like, kind of outlook for now, and then we'll narrow on the details later. And then if I show you Sunday as well, just to give you an idea in more detail on this, you can see now Sunday's interesting because the uncertainty does start to increase a little bit more, because if you can see here, you've got some of these solutions which are showing kind of a band of thunderstorms all the way through the central southern kind of through the spine of the UK, if you like, from Scotland down into the Midlands. However, you've got some which are kind of showing just across southwest England, some across Ireland, some across mainly the Midlands, southern England. So you can see there's a fair amount of kind of variation in between these different solutions. So the confidence isn't quite as high. But if I show you the ensembles for the instability again, you can see likely to be the chance for storms over a large area, because you can see we've got those kind of shaded colours over a much larger area than Saturday. So I think, again, the epicenter, if you like, of the storms is going to be across the Midlands, but also Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland, and the rest of kind of England and Wales does have a chance of seeing storms on Sunday as well. And then looking towards kind of next week for the storms, I'll use the GFS, and the GFS usually is not great for storm forecasting, but kind of using it as to give a general idea, what looks likely to happen is the instability sticks around at least through Monday and Tuesday, and that's because we've got the slack pattern. The summer sun is kind of strong enough to heat the ground, and it's going to be very moist. So generally, I think on Monday we've got a decent chance of thunderstorms across kind of parts of the Midlands. Again, this is the convective available potential energy, and basically the brighter the colours, the more energy there is for storms and lightning. And then you can see on Tuesday that potentially spreads further west as well. And then by Tuesday, Wednesday, the uncertainty for exactly where storms will be is low, but just know that anywhere across the UK could be seeing storms potentially Tuesday into Wednesday. For example, the European model here shows storms across the south on Tuesday and then the west on Wednesday, though Monday storms likely across kind of central and eastern areas. And then now that's kind of the storms talked about, I'm going to do a quick look into the longer range. If you're wondering what's going to happen towards the end of June and into July, a bit uncertain, at the moment, but you can see here these are kind of the weekly anomalies for pressure. So the blue colours is below average pressure over a week, and then the pink colours is kind of above average pressure over a week. And you can see, so this is the upcoming week, and a pretty kind of summary pattern you can see there. Easterly / southeasterlies, warm, and with the influence of low pressure, thundery, and then moving that on to the week after. Uncertainty starts to decrease, but you can see possibly unsettled with that low pressure nearby, but possibly warm if you're getting a southerly airflow. And then into July, I mean, it's a lot harder to forecast by this stage, but continued signs of potentially unstable thundery air. And then potentially into July, the chance for something a bit hotter even, potentially very hot though, very, very early. But you're potentially looking at a situation with low pressure out to your west / southwest, and then high pressure to the north / northeast, and potentially you're going to be bringing in some very warm air during July, with thunderstorms kind of possible for, I mean, it's a bit early to say for a heat wave, but possibly some warm temperatures. And if I just run through this kind of temperature anomaly chart, which is the same as the chart I just showed you, but temperature wise, you can see that similarly it's looking to stay above average temperature wise all the way into kind of the middle of July. And it's unusual for this, I mean, for the years I've been looking at this particular chart, it's unusual for it to be this strong of a signal. So I would say the kind of early consensus is for July to be dry, sorry, not dry, is potential to be kind of hot or very hot, and kind of unstable at times. So anyways, that was quite a long video, but I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, everyone. Bye.